Hi, you probably already heard this, that the Goosebumps series has been canceled. I'm kind of glad this new one was canceled. I didn't quite like it that much. I know there's a lot of people who did. I mean, yes, I grew up in the 90s. I know I have nostalgia for that series with the anthology style. Um, I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm not like, probably, I'm not gonna call myself the biggest fan. I do have a couple of books. I got some originals. My Best Friend is Invisible, um, Ghost Camp, Bad Hair Day, Grandma's Sunken Head, Deep Trouble. I mean, I got some original books. I got some Series 2000. Are You Terrified Yet? Bride of the Living Dummy, Cry of the Cats. Uh, I have some of the Give Yourself Goosebumps, which I think this would have been an interesting way to do a TV series. Be hard, so it'd be very interesting, where you had different endings and different ways the show can go, and but it would of course cost way too much for them to do it. But like I said, I have of course I have more than books than what I'm showing them now. But I have like Twisted Tale of Tiki Island, Creepy Creations of Professor Strock, Diary of a Mad Mummy, and Under the Magician's Spell. And of course, I have what I think is one of my favorite ways that I think that if a Goosebumps show was to be done, is basically how I think this should be done, like how this book series is done, the Goosebumps of Horrorland, where it has a connected story throughout the whole entire thing, kind of similar to the new one, but each episode is its self-contained story. I mean, it has its own self-contained story. Like, chasing die screaming. It basically deals with this story by itself in the book. Then it goes into the overall story of the thing. Kind of similar to how they did it the very first season of the new series, where they started off with each episode being its own story, but then it started just doing this weird thing where it just started making its own thing, just make sure that the entire thing is basically the overall story, which is the main thing. Which yes, I like the. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just wish that they would instead chose, let's say, location from the series, like this one does Horrorland, and it has its own like story in Horrorland. The other books I have in Horrorland, of course, I like the whole series. Like My Friends Call Me Monster, Who's Your Mommy, Doctor Maniac versus Robbie Swartz, The Scream of the Haunted Mask, Monster Blood for Breakfast, Creep from the Deep, Revenge of the Dummy. Alright, so my thing was, if I was going to do the show, I know it's late, I'm not really professional, I mean, they did what they did, you know, nothing fault them for. But I would have started off the very first episode being the what was it called? The very first book that is in the Goosebumps series. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. Um, uh, quick search of it. Well, back here. What was it called? I'm starting this little thing for Halloween, so trying to talk about my favorite scary things. I don't know why I blanked on it. How Welcome to Dead House. I would start off that story, And towards the end where they are leaving and they had that little twist, like I think in the movie, I can't remember if it's the same in the book. It has been a while since I read it, but I know in the show, the 90s show, the dog was basically a zombie, and it was on the way, and but they didn't find out until after the dog was right in the car. Now I would have kept that twist, but I would have done it where they were able to keep him as a zombie pet or something like that. Something silly, not too crazy, or maybe not keep him as a pet, or maybe just it goes from another family that, or maybe they just left the dog on the side of the road, and I don't know how they done it, but I would have done it from that book when they were leaving that town to go into a town similar to how they did with Castle Rock, where the whole entire town is where all the stories of Stephen King was happening. You had Carrie Carr there. You had the Shawshank Redemption prison nearby this town. All these things are happening in that area, which I would have done the same thing with this, where it would be a town where we basically bump into all the characters from the Goosebumps series. Like you will bump into um, I, I, so not good with names. I'm not going again. Here it is. Oh, you bump into Carly Beth from the Haunted Mask. You bump into basically all those characters, and then you have like an overarching story, like say the you meet the characters at a high school or something like that, and the overarching story would have been the story from the haunted school. You slowly pick up pieces from that story while you're telling the other stories of the series. I mean, but make sure that you actually tell the entire stories from each one and don't go too far away from the source material. And that's one thing I think that they kind of did wrong was that they went too far away from the source material, where it got kind of it didn't seem like a Goosebumps show. It seemed like just basically Stranger Things or no more like a Riverdale type of show, which that show didn't seem like at all like the Riverdale comics, and it was good for the first couple of seasons, then got way out there and kind of weird. But yeah, that's basically my stance on the Goosebumps show and what I would have done with it. I know it's a hot take. It might not be what most people want. This is, I think, would have been interesting is to have a maybe 8 episode story, 8 episode series where you have the first one being Walking Dead House, maybe have one for the Haunted Mask, the first one, and then maybe Slappy, the very first living dummy story, um, Monster Blood, you can have that in there. Um, you can have Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. I mean, yeah, those stories are already done that already, but totally adaptations. But you can always update them for today's current. I would actually like to do like first season be based like on the school idea, the second one being based off like camp. Like after school you go to camp, so you have all those scary stories based on camp. Or another thing you could do is before either second season for the camp or for the amusement park for the Horrorland. You know, do a whole season based on Horrorland. Have you may probably make some of these Horrorland books into live action, like the Doctor Maniac versus Robbie Schwartz. That'd be easy adaptation to probably do. Or you can do the Scream of the Haunted Mask, but this should be only done if the first season you do Carly Beth and get her story done. Because this deals with Carly Beth later after the first encounter with it. Of course, you have Monster Bullet for breakfast. You probably do that one. But, the Creep from the Deep, you can do that. But, it's probably best to, Revenge of the Living Dummy. But I'll probably do the later half of the Horrorland if you're gonna do that in the first season. Actually, no, that won't work. You have to do Horrorland, the second season or third season. Get these other stories that so you can be introducing to some of those characters, those villains. The only one I'd be okay with probably is doing the Dr. Maniac versus Robert Schwartz. So that's my take. Like I said, if I had a way to do it, I could do it, I would. But there's no way I can. I'm not smart enough. I tried going to college for this type of stuff and couldn't do it. It's just too advanced for me. Um, yeah, that's my take on that.